What would I do if I was starting my business from zero in 2025? That's the question that I asked myself recently, and I'm going to talk about in today's podcast episode. I have been an entrepreneur for 9 years now, and the industry has changed quite a bit. So I started thinking to myself, what would I tell you that I think would have the biggest impact, the quickest impact on building your business in the new year? I also wanted to dive a little bit deeper into some topics that I haven't talked about when I have shared the first steps to take in building a business. So if you are just starting out or you're in the very beginning stages of building your business, today's podcast episode is going to be gold.
This is the Authentic Brand Builders Podcast with Michelle Knight.
Thanks for joining me again on another episode of the Authentic Brand Builders Podcast. This is the final episode for 2024. I'm going to take a good long break from recording podcast episodes to enjoy the holidays, but we'll be back in January. With that being said, I do have a couple really fun YouTube trainings coming out soon, so make sure that you subscribe over on the Brand Mary YouTube channel. You can go to brandmary.com/YouTube if you're not currently there watching today's podcast episode. Okay, so like I said, I really wanted to zoom out quite a bit and think about a few key pieces. What would get you the results faster? I wanted to tie in a mindset piece that I really wish I would have focused on in the beginning. And I wanted to give you some really in-depth strategies that I think would not only give you results quickly, but also set you up for the biggest success long-term in your business. And if you know anything about Brand Mary, you know that I'm all about long-term sustainability. I've been an entrepreneur for 9 years. I have consistently hit six-figure years since my very first year in business, and I've generated over $2 million in revenue. So I know a thing or two. I've tried a lot of different things, and these 5 things that I want to share with you today, I really think if I was starting over, I know that I would get results so freaking fast. Let's talk about the first one. Now, this first one is kind of ironic because this is actually the area in which I have a college degree. My college degree is in public relations, PR. And for years, I went to school for PR and I worked at a PR firm where I literally would help other people get featured. If I were going back to the beginning, and something that I'm focused on in 2025 is to prioritize PR. I think a lot of people think that in order to get featured, they have to already have a huge following. They have to already have a lot of traction or visibility online. And I don't think that that is entirely true. You just have to shift the way you are approaching PR. So what I would do if I was just starting over is I would really prioritize just 1 hour every single week to pitch myself to other mediums. Now, in the beginning, I would probably focus on smaller podcasts. So think podcasts that are just getting started. Maybe they don't have a huge following as well. I would think of podcasts that are within my network. Maybe my friend has a podcast and I can jump on that, like low-hanging fruit. A lot of people think that the only way to get massive bang for your buck when it comes to PR is to go for really big accounts. But I've talked about this before. From my experience, the smaller accounts, the ones with more niche or tight-knit followings, actually result in the best conversions in my business. And so there's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't start there in the beginning. Now, a couple things that I would put in place if I didn't have a online presence yet, if I didn't have a huge email list, if I didn't have maybe a social media account or a YouTube channel or a podcast of my own to showcase my content, is I would put together a really simple media kit. Simple is the word here. I don't want you doing something like that's going to take weeks to put together, but just something that has your bio, a little bit of your story, some of your main talking points, and that's where I would start. It just adds that little professional level to it. It shows that you're really serious about this. And then if you don't have, content that you could ultimately send them to, like a bunch of content, it's also just giving an idea of your writing style and your credibility. If you do have a few pieces of content, I love that. Blog, think podcast episode, YouTube videos, even a social media profile where you've created reels or something. what people want to see is that you know what you're talking about, right? And you've created content around those topics, which is what you should be starting with creating content anyways when you're kicking off your business. So it's not really, when it comes to PR, it's not really about the number of followers you have or the number of email subscribers. It's about the value that you give. That's why people are bringing you on the podcast. Another thing that's really going to help you is that you have a willingness to share their episode. Share the episode that you are featured on with as many people as possible. So while you might not have a huge email list, even if you only have a couple hundred people, talk about how you'll put that out on different social media channels. If you have a group, talk about how you'll be sharing that in the group. If you have your personal profile, your Facebook profile, talk about how you'll be sharing it there. Like really talk about how you would be driving as much traffic as possible to these features, because that's what the person is really looking for. It's a way for them to expand as well, and a way for them to feature somebody outside of their expertise on their podcast. So it's a win-win for everybody involved. So again, prioritizing PR for me would look like creating a spreadsheet of all of the different places that I want to pitch to. Interview series, think podcast. If you're a writer, think guest blogging or guest writing. You could also use a tool called Hero, which is Help a Reporter Out. It's completely free, and sometimes you can find places that need blurbs around different topics, and those are really easy to apply for. So I would start a spreadsheet all around that, and then I would schedule 1 hour a week where you were sending pitch emails out. And that's exactly what I would do. The more pitch emails you send, the better off you're going to be, because not every single one is going to convert. So if you send 5 to 10 a week and you get one from those, that's phenomenal. And then the more that you refine your pitching, the more that your audience grows and those different things, the more episodes, the more features you're going to ultimately land. And then that will snowball and actually get you into bigger features. Maybe you get on Entrepreneur, maybe you're in Forbes, maybe you're on a massive podcast that's relevant to your industry. But prioritizing this really, really early on, it doesn't have to take a ton of time. It's going to help you with your marketing. This is one of the things that I've really been suggesting to my clients who come to me and they're taking more of an SEO approach. They're really not interested in social media. A lot of clients who are like, no, I don't want to be on social media. They're taking more of an SEO approach, and we add in the PR aspect because it's going to help them get their website viewed. It's going to help them with their marketing. It's going to help them with their credibility. And again, it could take really just an hour a week to do the pitching for these features. The second thing that I would have done over again, and I am working on now, it is my priority for 2025, is to build a network for collaboration. Now, many of you might be doing this, but a little story time for you. I absolutely despise networking. Despise it. I remember in college, again, a marketing PR major, we would have all these events and we were required to go to them to practice our messaging, to practice our elevator pitch, sometimes to do like experiments around businesses, fake businesses that we ultimately created. And I despised it. I don't like small talk. So I think that's where I got really sidetracked from networking events, because that's what they felt like. But I carried that belief into my online business. And yes, I have gotten this far focusing on more in-depth relationships. I have a handful of friends that I have created that we have collaborated on a lot of different things, but I have noticed that that has minimized my reach. Like, they're amazing. They'll feature me. I feature them, but that can only get me so far because it's only a specific pool of people. The thing that I would have prioritized in the beginning, and again, I am already prioritizing it for 2025, is more collaborations, more reaching out. And I think this does piggyback off of the first one, actually, because a lot of the people that I have met, a lot of the friends that I have, they've come from being on their podcast and them coming on my podcast or writing something for them or doing a guest training for them. And I really believe that there's a few benefits to this collaboration priority. Number one, it expands your network, all right, which is huge. Number two, it allows a different perspective as you build your business. It allows somebody who is also a business owner, most likely, but in a different industry, to offer insights and ideas to you that might apply to your industry. Because as we move into 2025, it's really important that we look outside of our bubble. If you're a course creator and you're only surrounding yourself with course creators, then you all might be marketing in a really similar way. But maybe there's somebody in your network that sells products, and you can take one of the ideas that they have and implement it in your business and open a whole new avenue for marketing and really thinking outside of our bubbles. That's what collaboration really allows you to do. So when I first started, I think collaboration looked very surface level, and it was like everyone had Facebook groups. We'd go in, we'd do like a training, we'd swap some things around, but it never went deeper to more of a collaboration aspect. Like, how can I help you? Can we get on the phone and just kind of like talk through some things? Are you open to that? That's really what I'm prioritizing in 2025. And I find it funny that I'm talking about, if I were starting from scratch, this is what I would do. And they're mirroring exactly what I'm doing to scale my business as well. But in 2025, I actually joined a mastermind. And the whole point of this mastermind, it's unlike other masterminds that I've been a part of. It's not from learning from one mentor. It's actually collaborating with all of the members. And I'm super excited about that, because it's going to offer so many different perspectives, and it's also just going to expand my network. If I am willing to put myself out there and build relationships with these individuals, share my knowledge with them, have them share their knowledge with me and our audiences, think about what could possibly happen. Now, you don't have to join a mastermind to do this, but because networking is not something that I love, I did need to do this, and it was a priority, and so I'm okay with that. But how could you make this work for your business? Could you create a meetup with other entrepreneurs? Could you create a mastermind of your own with other entrepreneurs? Could you, again, start a podcast and start reaching out to people to interview them, but then don't let it stop there. Continue to build the relationship. Prioritizing collaborations and building a network of individuals who are going to support you is only going to allow you to be put in a room that's going to challenge you, and it's going to stretch your imagination. And we all need that, okay? And I'll be honest, I have been hiding behind the scenes as a busy homeschool mama who doesn't have enough time to jump on coffee chats, multiple times a day. But I also recognize that that is something that is keeping me in this bubble. And if I'm going to expand, I need to expand my network. So again, if you're just starting out, or you're even looking to scale, because that apparently is where this podcast episode is going, focus on prioritizing collaborations. This is why one of the things that we are really focused on inside of the Authentic Brand Builders Academy is going to be the community and creating more challenges and ways to support one another. Because I think it's really easy to be like part of a membership or part of a group. You're already paying. You're already paying for that. Maybe it's to have one-on-one time with the mentor. Maybe it's for trainings, whatever your reason for joining is. You already have an opportunity to network. It's already part of the package. It's just about you taking that step. And as someone who struggles with networking, I know I attract a lot of people who also struggle with it. And so that's one of our top priorities next year, because all of these people are already paying to be on the calls with me and to have access to my trainings. I could help them even more by creating an environment that really is built on collaboration. So I would also encourage you to look for that when you're investing in programs. It might not be the reason that you're doing it, but if you can also tap into that aspect, it's just making that program even more valuable. All right. This is one that I absolutely should have done in the beginning of my business. And when I first started my business, I got the idea to do it in January, right after the birth of my son. I officially launched my business, got the EIN number and all of that stuff in April. And then I signed my first client in September. All right. During January, from January till about June, I was so consumed with stuff that didn't actually move my business forward. I was so consumed with stuff that didn't move my business forward. And I've openly talked about this in terms of my brand, my logo, and then creating a website without doing the branding work and all of these different things. And my brand took me 6 months to finalize, which is why I teach my clients how to do it in a 2-week time frame inside of You Branded, because You absolutely can do it in 2 weeks. And when you do it in 2 weeks, you're able to do this tip right here, which is focus on selling out of the gate. I did it and I see my clients doing it. And I watch this just happen over and over and over again. The book I'm reading right now is called Ready, Fire, Aim. And in the very first phase, which is basically getting your business to $1 million a year, it's all focused on selling. And when I heard him say it in the audiobook, I instantly was like, yeah, it seems so easy. But the whole idea is that once you have an offer, which is part of the branding process, once you have clarity on who you're serving, which is part of the branding process, once you understand how to communicate that via your messages to get started, part of the branding process, you should 100% be focused on selling. And here's the thing that I don't think a lot of people talk about. When you focus on selling, the other pieces fall into place. When you focus on selling, your marketing falls into place. When you focus on selling, your content falls into place. When you focus on selling, all of the other pieces are going to fall into place. But we convince ourselves that we have to have business cards or we have to have the perfect website and work with the designer for months to have the perfect website. And we have to have 90 days worth of content ideas, and we have to have an email list that's huge in order to start selling. But those pieces will come from you focusing on selling. Putting a website up that is just a few basic pages, we talk about this a lot at Brand Mary, homepage, story page, product, bing. Putting that up could take you a weekend, especially if you use something like Squarespace, which we use here. They have templates, they have boxes and sections that you just have to put text in and put a picture up. Like, it does not have to take that long. Doing that, starting to make those sales will allow you to invest more time and energy into your website because you'll have the money to do that. You'll have the time to do that. Starting to put your content out there into the world will let you see what is actually leading to sales so you can fine-tune your strategy. This is something that I did not do for 8 months because I was so concerned with having everything perfect before I could sell. And that is something that I am really thankful I figured out at the 9-month mark, and something that I have used even with creating courses and things like that. Like, I have sold the course before I've created the course so many times in my business. My branding course, Roadmap to Freedom, the Academy. When I first launched the Academy, I had a promise of delivering 12 mini courses over the course of a year, and I had one thing in there, and I sold people into a year-long program. That's what I mean by focusing on the selling. You can fine-tune and make things better as you go. Now, that doesn't mean that you're putting shit out into the world. Like, you still need to give value, but the videos don't have to be professional inside of your course. Everything doesn't have to be perfect. You can figure all of that out. You're going to figure all of that out because you're going to have to figure that out because people are going to be needing you to figure it out. But we spend all of this time trying to get all of these things perfect that we forget that we have to sell. And selling is the foundation of having a business. Without sales, you don't have a business. You don't have a business. If I were in the one-on-one space, I would focus on getting as many people on the phone with me as possible. That could look like offering assessments. Maybe you're a designer, so you'll do free assessments of someone's website and then offer them a discount on your package. If you're a coach, maybe you're a life coach. It's whatever your niche is. Maybe it's around a mindset. You can do specific assessments on people's mindset and answer questions and then sell them into a one-on-one package. I used to do brand messaging audits. They were completely free, and then I would sell people into packages. If you could also just offer discovery calls to as many people as possible. I really like the specific, tangible value, especially if you're just starting out, because you might not have a huge audience. If you already had an email list, I would be pitching frequently in that email. And there's a difference between selling and being pushy and actually pitching your services as the next step. And so setting up the offer, providing value, helping them identify what might be missing, really connecting to their desires, solving a quick problem for them, and then directly leading into what you have available for them. It's super easy. And if you did that in every single email, you'd be giving value, of course. And then you would be offering up the next step for anyone that was ready to take action. And that's something that you should start doing even when your list is super tiny. If I was prioritizing social media out of the gate, I would be absolutely talking about my offers in my stories. I would have my offer linked in my bio. I would be creating really great value post with a PS about how they could take the next step. Literally every single thing would be focused on selling. And that is something that I didn't do in the beginning. And it's still something that I'm working on today. And again, when you do the branding work, which should only take about 2 weeks, you have your offer, you have your messaging, you have clarity on your ideal customer, and you can just hit the ground running, focused on making money in your business. Okay, this is my last strategy one for you. And then we're going to do a mindset one. Okay, my last strategy one for you is I would focus on creating a podcast or a YouTube channel as a foundational marketing strategy right out of the gate. Again, I see the value of social media. I absolutely see the value of it. And I talk about this a lot. When you create this long form content like podcasts, like a YouTube channel, you can repurpose that and get yourself on social media. And it's actually giving you content so you don't have to create original content as often, right? You're repurposing the content from this podcast, these audios, turning them into carousel posts, taking these YouTube videos, splicing them up, putting that on social media. But the sooner that you can start one of these long form, valuable, SEO optimized pieces of content, the better off you're going to be in the long run. I didn't start my first podcast. I think I started in 2018. Yes, because I think it was right before I went into the RV living. So I started it in 2018. I started my business in 2016. I did start a YouTube channel, but I didn't really start it until 2017. If I would have started that YouTube channel in 2016, sped up the branding process, started that YouTube channel, and really focused on selling, I guarantee you I would have signed a client a hell of a lot faster than I actually did. I would have surpassed 6 figures then, because I hit 6 figures in my business within 1 year. We probably could have done even more than that if I would have prioritized this in the beginning. There's so much value in these long form, sustainable marketing platforms, not only in terms of your reach and your credibility, going back to the PR thing, like pitching yourself to be a speaker on stage and then showing someone a whole YouTube channel. It's not about the followers on that channel. It's not about the views. It's not about the comments. You're not pitching yourself as a YouTube strategist, but they can go and watch those videos to get an idea of how you speak, how you teach, your knowledge, all of these different things, your personality. And I talk a lot about video content and the importance of video content, especially as we go into 2025. And so if you don't already have one of these platforms ready to go, pick one and prioritize that as your content for the entire week. Now, something that I recently put together is called the Content Strategy Roadmap. It's a brand new course that I put together. And the whole concept is that you focus in on an evergreen platform, so that every week you're creating one piece of evergreen content, podcast, YouTube video as priority, but could also be blogging. And then you create a strategy so that you can repurpose that content. And it's something I've talked about a lot. I talk about it all the time, actually, here on the podcast and on my YouTube channel. But I sat down and I created it so that within a few hours, you could have this entire strategy mapped out. And I created a brand new, oh my gosh, it's so good, a brand new content calendar, both in spreadsheet form and in ClickUp, that actually takes your core idea and your repurposing ideas and puts them in a full calendar for you. So you can actually see, okay, I'm releasing a YouTube video on this date, then that YouTube video is going to become 5 different reels, and those are going to go out on these dates. And that YouTube video is also going to become maybe a blog later on as you expand and all of those different things. I will link my advanced marketing plan video for you in the comments below. You can check that out when I talk about like the bigger picture of marketing. But it really does all start with this evergreen content. And so if you want to take that next step and you want to grab the content strategy roadmap, I'll also share that below as well. So you can check that out, or you go to brandmary.com/content roadmap. You can get your hands on that. It's brand spanking new. I'm so excited for you to see it. But again, prioritizing these evergreen sustainable marketing platform right out of the gate, it's going to make your life so much easier when it comes to repurposing. And it's also going to just give you so much credibility when you're getting started. And something I forgot to say is these platforms, especially YouTube, continue to perform for you. And so by starting this now, it's just tapping into that sustainability, which is so freaking important. All right, here's the last one. One of the things that I wish I would have done in the beginning was really work on my mindset. Now, I talk a lot about mindset work. For years, I talked about it, but I think my mindset was really around what was possible for me, what my relationship with money was, and those things are absolutely important. However, I wish I would have learned to trust myself more in the beginning. I wish I would have learned to trust my own instincts and avoid overthinking decisions in the beginning. And this is something I'm working on, and it's something I'm prioritizing in 2025. So many of you probably need to hear this as well. We often seek answers outside of ourselves when we know deep down exactly what feels aligned to us. We seek these answers outside of ourselves because we're insecure or we're uncertain about our next steps. But no one can tell you the next step. People can say, okay, here's how we can go about making that happen. Here's the best strategy to do that. But if I sit here and I tell you exactly what to do, and half of those things don't feel like what you should be doing or don't feel aligned with who you are, you're not going to do them. And so you're constantly going to be investing your money and your time and your energy into trying to make things work that don't fit who you are. And it's freaking rams battling. It's like your internal instinct and knowledge battling this outside opinion. And it just is constantly going to feel like that. And I've invested a lot in mentors, and I've invested a lot in support in these different areas that I think deep down I knew was not where I wanted to focus, was not what felt aligned to me, but I wasn't trusting myself. I wasn't trusting my instincts. And so something I've already started working on and I'm prioritizing in the new year, and so if you're just getting started, do it now, is really assessing how decisions and things feel within my body. This is something we talked about on a recent podcast with my friend Martina. I'll definitely link that below, where we talk about perfectionists. And is our body a hell yes? If it's not a hell yes, then don't do it. Don't do it. And also trusting that you know more. You know more than you are probably giving yourself credit for. I remember there was a time when my husband looked at me and he was like, you already know how to do that. I think I showed him a course and I was like, I should probably get this course. And he's like, you already know how to do that. You already know how to do that. Like, I was already helping other people do it, but for some reason, I didn't believe that I could do it for me. We have to trust ourselves more because everything that you choose to do in your business comes from you. Everything, every aligned decision is going to come from your alignment. If we don't trust ourselves to make those decisions, we're going to constantly be seeking advice from outside ourselves. This is something that has been really on my mind nonstop because one of the things that I have been teetering, going back and forth with for probably 3 years now, maybe 4 years now, has been prioritizing passive income. Now, the reason that I wanted to prioritize it is because it allows me to impact more people, which has always been my goal, to impact as many individuals as possible. Number 2, I like sharing my information and again, allowing a lot of people to use it. It's one of my favorite things to do, to teach on videos, things like this. Number 3, my schedule that I have does not align with having a bunch of one-on-one clients. Here's the caveat. I'm really good at selling one-on-one. I'm really good at it. My friends always joke that if I decide I have space for a one-on-one, here comes a client. But it's not aligned with how I want my entire business model to be. And for years, I think I've known that in my soul, my instincts, but I fought with what I'm good at doing with what I know I need to do, with what I'm good at doing with what I know I need to do. And I've reached a point where I absolutely am like, this is the direction that we're going. And it took a really long time because I had to learn to trust myself. I had to learn to get to a point where I said, you can do this. You can create the same amount of money passively as you do with one-on-one work. And I have to trust myself that I can do that. So often our instincts are telling us how we should be creating our business, how we should be building it. And we really need to trust that and put our energy into that so that it works. Because that's the thing is like for so many years, I would have this desire, I'd have this instinct, but then someone would send an inquiry in about one-on-one and I would be pulled in that direction. Yes, that resulted in money, but it also took time away from building what I ultimately wanted. And so that's a huge shift that I'm experiencing here at Brand Mary is changing ultimately how we work with our clients. And I'm excited about that. But it has brought up a lot for me with just trusting myself because I know deep down, I told myself this years ago. And I just keep being like, maybe we'll see, even though inner Michelle is, come on, girl. You know this is what you want to do. You know this is how you want to run your business. You know that this is what's going to be the most aligned to your mission. Do the damn thing. Trust yourself and do the damn thing. Trust yourself and do the damn thing. You probably know. Silence all the freaking noise and do it. And then commit to it. Maybe that's another one. Commit. If you are going to sell, commit to selling. If you are going to pitch yourself to be on podcasts and do more PR, commit to it. If you decide to create a YouTube channel, commit to it and do it. Do it. A big thing that I have been doing before making any big decisions in my business is giving myself the space to sit with it before I ask anyone else's opinion. So I used to message a friend. I used to reach out to Delana. I used to go to my husband like right away and be like, what do you think of this? Now I sit with myself and I try and assess what's coming up, how I'm feeling. I journal a little bit. I just have a conversation with myself, whatever, before I go to other people to ask their opinion, if I even need to go to them at all. Sometimes I'm making decisions on my own these days. It's really alarming. Give yourself the space to do that because your instincts are telling you we are going to be so much better business owners and life is going to be so much easier if we just learn to trust ourselves. Okay? Again, I'm going to link that recent episode that I did with my friend Martina all about trusting yourself. And you can tune into that if you feel like this is an area you really need to focus on. I really hope that if you are just getting started with your business, you take the tips that I shared to heart because like I said, I have helped so many business owners launch their business into the world inside of my program Roadmap to Freedom. For years, new entrepreneurs would come to me and in 90 days have their business up and running. And the thing that I saw holding them back so much was not prioritizing the selling aspect. And so if you take one thing away, and there's a lot of goodies here, but if you take one thing away, please let it be that selling has to be a priority. And the more that you practice it in the beginning, the more you're going to find your authentic voice. The more you're going to find the strategies that work for you. And then you can just continuously dial those up. If you are starting your business in 2025, I'm so freaking proud of you. I am here to support you. I love you. You've got this. It's going to be hard. It's not going to be easy. But you can do hard things, as our friend Glennon Doyle says. You can do hard things. And I just want to remind you to remember why you're doing it and always tap back into that. Create a community around you that's going to lift you up and have some sort of guidance or mentor or whatever that looks like for you to help you navigate the way. They're not going to always give you the answers. They shouldn't give you the answers, but they should help you think outside the box. They should help you strategize. They should help you work through these mindset blocks or tough times so that you can continue on your path. And if you are scaling your business, you already have a business. Most of these things are things I'm prioritizing in 2025. I know that they're going to work for you as well. I hope you have an amazing rest of your freaking year. Again, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Go to brandmary.com/YouTube or just click the subscribe button if you're here right now. I'm going to be releasing training videos for us throughout the rest of December and January to support you in your business. And make sure that you are on my newsletter. You can go to brandmary.com/newsletter so you can get on my email list and hear about some fun things that are happening. Have a fantastic rest of your year. And hey, happy 2025, my friend. Talk to you soon.